Welcome, everybody, to the PGA Golf Wars. This is Run Pure Sports, and I am filling in for our man JBC, who is up in Alaska somewhere right now, where it's daylight all day. Odd for a guy who doesn't actually leave the house usually during the day, that he will be in daylight for like 18 hours a day. But we've got, along with me, I've got my boy Bryce Schlong and Schneider. Boys, how we doing tonight on a Wednesday before we get into the FedEx Cup?
I'm going. It's going swimmingly for me, as Mark would say on this trip. I don't think he's doing a whole lot of swimming, but at least he's getting outdoors. It's definitely for the best for him. I am at my good friend Alex Lord's house, friend of the program. Our wives are having a little get together at my house, so I am relegated to his studio. If the background certainly appears different for me.
Nice. So you got to get out of this. They're not forcing you to be a part of this.
No, absolutely not. My wife cooked, made bolognese, and Lord and I got dinner. We've been playing PGA golf, the video game thing, for like 2 hours.
So you're definitely prepared. I hope you've been playing.
Yeah, well, we played TPC Southwind, and
okay.
So maybe who does that on tour? Isn't it like Hovland or something?
Plays. I didn't know that someone actually plays before the rounds.
Yeah, that or it might not be Hovland. Snyder might know this.
I'm not sure.
I hear Alex in the other room. He said it's a Corn Ferry guy, because they've never played the courses, before they get to it, and it's much more of a ragtag operation. So they're just kind of showing up and playing. So he'll play it on the video games and stuff before he gets to the course.
Yeah, my first trip out to Pebble Beach was it was about 15 years ago. 16 years ago, and I just played the video game endlessly. I knew every hole. Didn't help me any, but I felt really good knowing what was coming from hole to hole. Tried to set my guy to with my distances and whatnot, and then you get out there and you shank it all over the place, and it doesn't really matter. But Snyder, what do we got going on tonight, bud?
Siwoo loves his video games. Big fan of Siwoo this week, so hopefully that there's some correlation there.
Yeah, looking forward to this. We're finally in the playoffs. No more cuts though, so we'll have limited fields going forward. But all the big names will be in these fields, so it'll be fun to dive into this with you guys and see what you guys are gonna do with Scotty up top with the ownership that he should be coming in at. I think there's some talking points to both sides of playing him and potentially trying to get away from him, depending on how the leaderboard shakes out. But it was a solid week last week. Ready for this week as well.
That's actually, you kind of alluded to it here. We're down to 70. It's a no-cut event. You've got most of the top guys in the world. Does that change how you guys play when it's a no-cut event? Are we playing it any differently? And then specifically to this event with a guy like Scotty, who's up there at 13K, he's obviously the monster favorite. We've seen him at high prices before. Does that change how we're going to play it? Bryce, I'll go to you first on that.
Yeah, there's no one that really rivals Scotty in this field. We really haven't had an event in a while as to where Scotty's been this big of a favorite, but there's been Rory at 8-1 behind him. Bryson 10 or 11 to 1 behind him. Rahm right there. So yeah, personally, I'm going to lock Scotty this week across my 150, and I'm playing one main team, and he will be on it. Just think, especially with no cut, you're guaranteed 4 rounds out of all your stinkers. If he finishes top, he can finish top 5 or 10 and even be optimal. It just depends if the other guys up top do well. If it's a cheaper to mid-range guys, you can get 2 of them with Scotty. Say it's Cam Young and Aaron Wright go 1-2 and Scotty finishes 10th. Scotty could easily be in the optimal team. So I just think there's a lot of paths for him to be optimal, and you're basically fading the expensive players with him. So that's what Xander, JT, Henley. They are the only ones above 10K. I'm totally fine just kind of fading them and leaning into Scotty here.
Yeah, I mean, at plus 280 on DraftKings for Scotty, and the next shortest price would be Xander at plus 1,800. I'm not sure if I've seen a disparity like that. I don't remember the Tiger days as well. I know Tiger was, maybe plus 150 favorite. Maybe he might have even been a minus in a couple of events, but certainly in the DFS era here, we have not seen anything like this. Mitch, how are you approaching this slate with no cut and with Scotty being as big a favorite as he is?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and be slightly overweight on Scotty. I think the only talking point would be if Scotty doesn't win, the stinkers don't really live up to their potential, and say you get like a leaderboard where it goes like Hideki wins, Hovland finishes second, and like Fleetwood finishes third or something like that. There's definitely paths. If that the mid-tier to that bottom 9K range, if like Hideki and up, like 4 of those guys finish inside the top 7 or so, I think Scotty could win and not be optimal. I think that just all depends on. I think it's going to play a little tougher too because they got new greens here this year. It's going to be tougher to hold. Really small greens here as well. So if we get like a winning score around like 12 under and you get more of those placement point guys up there, I think that's the way that Scotty couldn't be optimal. But if it plays super easy and Scotty shoots like 20 under, I think Scotty will definitely find the optimal if you get some of those values, 7Ks and such up there. But I think there's value talking points to both sides. They did lower Scotty's price though this week. He was in the he was like 14.2K, I think, the last time over at the Open. So it's interesting. I think they can definitely go both ways. Scotty hasn't really played the best here at this course, barring last year. Last year he finished 4th, but he had a T31 and a missed cut in his last 2 trips here. So I'll probably be slightly overweight on the field of Scotty, though. I definitely don't want to be either way, so I'll just kind of hedge and go kind of 60% Scotty or something like that.
Okay, I mean, that's definitely going to be a big number. Let's just talk about the course quickly, like kind of what we're looking for here. It's TPC Southwind, as Bryce alluded to earlier. It's a par 70, a little over 7,200 yards. Really small greens, which I think you just mentioned, Mitch, and they're like 4,500 square feet on average. So are we looking for are we looking for ball strikers here to hit the greens? Are we looking for guys who scramble really well, play well around the greens, getting up and down? It's been about minus 15, I think, has won this tournament, maybe like over the last 5 years, about average. So what are there any specific stats, anything that we're looking for out there right now that you think would play well at a course like this?
Yeah, I think there's an emphasis on fairways gained also. They increased the rough by 1/2 inch. It's Bermuda grass rough here. So, I mean, you can get any type of lie here. I mean, it's all high variance depending on how your ball rolls out. Sometimes your ball rolled straight to the bottom of that Bermuda. Sometimes you'll catch a flyer lie. So I think there's a lot of variance in that. If you can find fairways, and then with the greens being brand new, much more firmer, I think they're going to be harder to hold. So maybe a little more emphasis on around the green play with them being so small. They're the 3rd smallest greens on tour, just a little bit bigger than the Pebble Beach greens that we kind of mentioned in the lead up there. But I think it'll play slightly tougher. I'm kind of envisioning like a minus 12 to minus 15 winner this week.
So you would agree with there, Bryce? You think this plays a little tougher this week?
Yeah, I do. For all the reasons that Snyder mentioned. Question here.
We got the weather. The weather's really good as well. And is that going to make it? It's going to be hot.
Yeah.
Does that make it even more difficult to hit the fairways here? You think just with if the fairways are running kind of quick and
it always makes it harder to hit if it's hot. I mean, that's why golf courses play easier in the morning than the afternoon for these guys. Gets a little burnt out. I have a question here: is why Rory isn't playing? He was never going to play this week. He wanted a softer schedule this year, not quite as many events. I think last year he finished like 2nd or 3rd to last. He just obviously didn't care. So
Yeah, I mean, he's going to make it better. For those who don't know, like the format here is the top 50 are going to make it, and that's top 50 in FedEx points are going to make it next week. Obviously, Rory doesn't matter what he does this week, as in not play at all, and he'll be there next week, right? So this one doesn't matter for him.
I think I'm sure another thing with that is they completely revamped how they're going to do the Tour Championship this year as well. There'll be no starting strokes. Everybody starts at even par this year, where like years before you'd see Scotty start at like -10 or whatever, and half the field is really the majority of the field is really drawing dead at that point. But without having to increase your FedEx points to increase your starting strokes for the last event, I think we're going to see a lot more of this going forward, where some of these guys don't play the first event. But you look at Xander. Xander's sitting 42nd in the FedEx Cup right now, so he needs a couple of good weeks to make it inside that top 30. So he's going to be trying a little harder, I think, this next 2 weeks.
All right, let's jump in. We talked about Scotty, and listen, you got to always go in depth here on Scotty anytime he's in a tournament, but we've got a few other guys here over the 10K mark that obviously some good golfers. I like one in particular outside of Scotty. I think, when I looked at the betting market, I really focus a lot on the betting markets, and I like Russell Henley here of all the guys not named Scotty Scheffler, 10K and above. Justin Thomas, I saw kind of it looked like the markets were going against him, the betting markets, since the beginning of this week. So I don't know if you're taking that into account. Bryce, who do we like here, 10K and above, if it's not Scotty?
Xander, for sure, for me. I think he's one of the few golfers in this field that actually presents a challenge to Scotty. As we said, he needs to move up in the rankings. And his ranking is indicative of how good of a golfer he is. He was hurt to start the season, missed some time, didn't have great results, but he's fully healthy again. If it wasn't a Scotty lock week, I would definitely be like, if you took Scotty out of the field, I would be turbo hitting Xander here, but it's not. So I'm not. JT would probably be my least favorite. No, Henley would be my least favorite of the three. I still prefer JT to Henley, but albeit slightly. I also haven't looked at it tons, so I'm gonna, just because I'm not playing any of these three guys with Scotty here. So I'll just kick it over to Snyder.
Yeah, for me, with up top would be Xander, probably with me too. We kind of seen him come back from the injury, like you alluded to, and the game was just kind of off. He was just battling the swing for about that first month, 2 months coming back. But over the last month and a half, we've seen those tee to green numbers come back. The ball striking numbers are right back there. He looked really good overseas the last time we saw him. He finally had the irons down. He was gaining well over a stroke around approach. So I think Xander is definitely the guy. He was runner-up here last year, has some good course history here as well. Needs to put a couple of decent to good finishes. I could see Xander winning one of these playoff events for sure. So I'll be higher on Xander. I'll be fading Justin Thomas at 10-2. I think he's about $1,000, $1,500 too high a price if you're incorporating the betting odds there from Pinnacle and such. But I do like Russ Henley. I've been playing Russ Henley a ton this year. He's just been an auto top 10 the last 4 events for him. Has some pretty good course history here as well. He was T6 here in 23. And he's played well in all these big-time events where the fields have been similar to this. I mean, he was T5 at the Memorial, T10 at the U.S. Open, and then he was T10 at the British Open as well. So I really like how his game sets up for here. He's going to hit a ton of fairways, ton of greens, going to leave himself some good opportunities to make birdies here. So I'm probably Xander, then Russell Henley for me in this top 10K range. But it'll be interesting to see how much of them I can get depending on how much of Scotty I play.
Yeah, I think that's obviously going to be the key. Let's look at the 9K range. We've got a few Europeans here. We've got Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, Hebert, and Hovland, with the Americans Morikawa and Cantlay. When you look at the betting markets, at least on DraftKings, Fleetwood has the shortest odds of this group, then followed by Fitzpatrick. And Fleetwood, a pretty good edge in the betting markets of this group, but he is the highest priced of them all. We'll go back to you, Mitch, in this range, 9K. I've got another guy who I bet Russell Henley, so I'm kind of with you there. It sounds like you don't mind that bet at the plus 3,000. I got another guy in here who I bet. I'll tell you after I hear you guys' analysis. But who do you like here? 9K and above. Anyone that we absolutely must be playing? Anyone that we should absolutely remove from our player pools?
Yeah, before I get into there, I'll just say to hit the like, subscribe before we get too much into this. It really helps us bring these shows to you guys for free, and use that promo code JBC100K win to get yourself a free week with a new trial here at Run Pure Sports. We've got the football is absolutely loaded going forward as we're getting into the preseason tomorrow as well. But for me in this 9K range, the markets are really kind of pushing Fleetwood up. He's up to the third favorite on Pinnacle now. It's just above, basically neck and neck with Henley up there. And Fleetwood's got good course history here. He was T3 and T22. The game's just been really close to winning at times this year. He's been in the top 5, top 10 multiple times. I mean, he's just super close. The win equity doesn't seem to be there, but the top 15, top 10 equity is pretty strong with him. So I'll try and get some of him in there. And then Matt Fitzpatrick, I was hoping they were going to price him down a little bit further, but 9-7, maybe that keeps his ownership down a little bit. I mean, Fitzy is just kind of retooled his game over the last couple of months. He's got good course history here as well. Really good course fit for him. He's going to find fairways and greens a lot, and he's riding the heater there. 4 straight events inside top 8 or better. So I think Fitzpatrick is a good play here. It's 9-7. And I came into the week really liking Hovland. I'll probably still be overexposed to Hovland. He was T2 here last year, T13, T20 his last 3 trips. The only slight worry I would have with him would be the around the green play, and if it does come into play more so at this event with these type of greens. But, I mean, from a ball striking approach standpoint, he's the closest thing to Scotty over the last 36 rounds. So Hovland's hitting his irons just absolutely pure at the moment. So I like the discount with Hovland. You could almost make a case, I think, that Hovland and JT could be flopped in pricing. So I think we're getting a pretty good discount with Hovland still. He's getting love in the betting markets as well, the 5th best odds. So I'm going to be high on Hovland at 9-3. I'll be off my guy Morikawa, off Cantlay, and Ludwig is a wild card. He's another guy that's really kind of struggled with the short game around the green. The putter's been hot and cold for him. Good price tag for his upside. I just don't know how much I'll get to him, but my top plays here would probably be Fitzpatrick, Hovland, and then Fleetwood.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hovland's always worth a play on these type of golf courses just because he's so good with the irons. And, when he's got that week where the irons are good, we don't really have to worry about him around the greens if he's just dialed in with the irons. Bryce, 9K and above, talk to me here. You're going to have to come off a mute before you go. Who do you like? What are we taking as far as who do you have to play? Anyone on that list from 9K and up that you have no problem just Xing out of your player pool?
I kind of X'd out the top 3 here, so I'm really trying to not X out this range. You can still make a playable team with Scotty and one of these guys. My favorite's Fleetwood here, pretty much for all the reasons Snyder said. I think he's definitely the best play in this range. And, if I'm not starting my team with Scotty, I would start it with Xander and Fleetwood to kind of make up that salary difference. After him, I like Fitzpatrick, Aberg, Hovland. I kind of like this range a lot. All the Europeans, I think, should go slightly under-owned outside of Fleetwood. Like, I think Fitzpatrick, Aberg, Hovland all come in around 12 to 15%. Maybe a little bit lower on Aberg and Hovland. So, I would love to buy them with Scotty. I don't think I can get there, but I think they're solid plays. Morikawa, his game is clearly off at 9,100, but that's a fairly cheap price tag for him. I don't mind him and Cantlay. I think Cantlay's kind of he's the guy that no one ever wants to play and always gets like overlooked. But at $9K for him, I'm willing to make that a pairing with Scotty here.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing with Patrick Cantlay. It's like, a ton of talent, obviously, and it seems like the guy. I don't know if it's just that he's just not likable, which I don't think he is, and people just don't like playing him. Yeah, but the guy I took here, I took in the betting markets, Fitzpatrick. I like what Mitch was saying there. I like the way his game is going right now. I think, Mitch, am I crazy? Or, I mean, I know they're not going to. This is not exactly a U.S. Open, but it kind of has the feel of like, when you have these some tighter fairways, tighter greens, you're kind of looking for a guy who's done well in a U.S. Open environment. In my opinion,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I like that angle.
So that's what I'm looking at there. All right, let's bounce this down now to the 8K range, 8 to 9K. And who we have there? We've got Burns and Matsuyama, Sepp Straka, Keegan Bradley, Corey Connors, Harris English, Aaron Rye, Cameron Young, Ben Griffin, and Chris Gotterup. So got a couple of guys who are hot in this range. I think we've got some popular. I think a couple of guys who are going to be really popular ownership wise. We'll bounce it back to Bryce. Bryce, in this range, give me your top plays. Who do I have to absolutely have, and who can I totally avoid? They're not going to make the nuts lineup for this weekend.
8Ks. I think my least favorite play here would be Keegan Bradley yet again. I think his game is kind of trending in the wrong direction. If I was going to totally avoid anyone, it would be him. He is my lowest owned of the bunch. Locking a player, I don't necessarily like to click off guys just because, you don't want to limit the number of outs you have with Scotty. So I'm not going to click off Keegan, but I really don't like him in this range. And there are a decent amount of plays here to like. I like Hideki at 8.8. I think his game is trending in the right direction here.
He looked terrible on Thursday last week and then really roared back to have a respectable finish. Yeah.
And, he's the type of guy that I love to play in no-cut events, just because, there's always – I don't know. I feel there's always a bit of risk with him, but he DraftKings scores so well. So I really do like him. Straka, I'm okay with. Connors, I think, is a good play. I think he's going to go overlooked because Rye is going to be through the roof popular this week. I don't think there's any doubt that he is the absolute chalk. I actually prefer pivots to Rye. I'm still going to play Aaron Rye, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to be 15, 20%. I'm not buying him at this.
So that's going to be under the market then if you're 15, 20%.
For sure. Aaron Rye is going to be incredible chalk this week. He's going to be 30%, high 20s. And when you get into higher stakes, I would expect to see him low 30s. Guys I like around him is direct leverage. Cam Young, coming off a win. Everyone hates playing guys off a win. I think he's a great play in his own right. And I'm seeing 10% on him. If he's 10%, I'm going to be turbo over Cam Young here. I think he's a great pivot play off of Rye. Harris English. I mentioned Corey Connors. Harris English, I think, is a great play. I also like Ben Griffin and Gotterup. I think people are kind of
Gotterup's making a push, making a Ryder Cup push here, no?
Yeah, so is Ben Griffin. I think Ben Griffin should be on the team. If it ended up now, we're making decisions now. So, I think there's 4 or 5 really solid guys here to get some leverage off of Aaron Rye. And then this is also kind of the range where, if you're playing Scotty, this is kind of where, if you want a decent rest of your team, this is kind of where that next pick is going to come from, is the low 8 range. So I'm going to be hitting this range pretty hard across the board with my favorite play of the bunch being Cam Young.
Yeah. So what Bryce just said with Scotty being so popular, is that why we're seeing, this being a little bit more popular range and Rye probably being the most popular of all of them, Mitch?
I think Rye's, a lot of that's due to the betting markets, probably. I mean, Rye's got better odds to win this event than Justin Thomas and Patrick Cantlay do, according to Pinnacle. He was getting steamed up last week really hard in the betting markets. He finished T5. I mean, it's just a great course fit for him. I mean, he's hitting 75% of his fairways last 36 and 75% of his greens in the last 36 rounds. Was in the top 20 here last year. I think everything just lines up for him to be a pretty strong play. I think he's definitely the cash lock. You want to be anchoring your teams with Scotty, Rye need to be your first 2 clicks if you're playing double ups, cash games, and that type of stuff. But for me in this range, I kind of prefer Chris Gotterup over everyone in this range. 8K. I've been playing him the last couple of months. He's really turned around the putter as well. He really struggled with the putter early in the year, but now it's 5 straight events where he's gained strokes putting, and he's not gaining just a little bit. He's gaining 3 shots, 5 shots, 7 shots with the putter now. So I think that really flipped his game. He nukes it off the tee. He's going to hit it, 320 off the tee. So even if he does get in some of this rough, he's going to have a lot shorter approach shots to these greens, which I think he can bomb and gouge this place. Everything's just been good for him across the board through the last couple of months, ever since the U.S. Open, where he kind of turned it on, and 3 straight top 10s, including that win overseas where he stared down Rory face-to-face, almost came back and beat Scotty then at the British. So I'm pretty high on Chris Gotterup at 8K. I think he's underpriced for this field. He isn't getting as much love in the betting markets as I thought he would, but I think he's a strong play. I really like Cameron Young as well, 8,300. I think he's a little underpriced here. We saw earlier this year he had a couple back-to-back top 5 finishes, so he can get on a little run here, and I think maybe the lid might have kind of popped off for him, and maybe he won't be as nervous or whatever. I mean, he had a lot of chances to win in the past, wasn't able to get it done. Finally gets it done in pretty dramatic fashion last week. And he's hitting a lot. He's hitting the irons really good as well. 70% of his greens regulation last 36 rounds. So I think he's strong. Harris English is getting some steam. Really good recent form for Harris English. Not the best at this course. T61, T52, his last 2 trips. But I think he's fine. Should be a really good setup for Connors. He kind of got his game back in order last week, or his last event with the T10. Definitely off Keegan again. And then Hideki's up here at the top. I really like Hideki. This is kind of going on that trajectory where Hideki wins. Once you see the irons kind of peak like they are now over the last 4 or 5 weeks, this is when we usually see Hideki pick off a win. And all of his wins have either been at the Masters or an elevated event. So this is a prime for Hideki to defend his title from last year here. So I'm pretty high on Hideki. And then Burns. I was playing Burns quite a bit, but he went from being the absolute best putter on tour to losing strokes putting. And he lost quite a bit last week, too. I think he lost over 4 strokes putting in that final round last week. So that's a little troubling for Burns because he hasn't always been the best ball striker, but that short game, that putter has really carried him throughout the last couple of months. So I'm a little worried on Burns, but he still got really good odds for the price with Burns. But for me, it's going to be Gotterup 1, Cameron Young 2, and then Hideki 3 in this range for me.
Yeah, you guys both seem to be in agreement with Keegan Bradley. I don't know, if you're looking at some of the sharper books, I know, Mitch, you look at it, boy, they're way their price is way off from like the DraftKings prices, and in a bad way, right? So we're looking at like plus 6K over on Pinnacle with plus 4K at a DraftKings. So that's for those of you who look at the sharp books, and I do, that is not a great sign. Hideki kind of I always look at Hideki like a Hovland, similar, like great ball strikers, sometimes struggles with the putter, and when the putter's on, usually is going to win. So I would put Hideki in that category here this week. Another guy where if he's on and he kind of, like I mentioned, turned it on a little late last week, didn't look like he was going to make the cut, and then just kind of charged hard there on Friday to get the cut, and then moved up the leaderboard. So I think Hideki on the right day, the putts start dropping. I think Hideki's always going to be a contender on these type of courses. But I think without a doubt, give me, before I jump to the next group, give me a number on Rye. What ownership in the big GPP? Where do you think he comes in, Bryce?
In the 25?
Yeah, the $25.
Yeah, the 25 flagship. I'm going to go 29.5%, right at 30.
30%. Are we going over or under, Mitch?
I'll be under on that a little bit. I think he'll probably be 23 to 25% probably.
Okay. All right. I think the 29.5 is a good number. So I'm gonna go slightly over. I think he does get into the 30, but I think it's a good number. I think Bryce is gonna be really close with that one. All right, let's drop it down to the 7K range. I'm not gonna go over each and every one of these guys. But of course we do have some notables, some guys who may be getting a bit of attention from the markets here. You've got a guy like Jordan Spieth, who may be getting some ownership. You've got Maverick McKinley. You've got McIntyre. You got the U.S. Open champion Spawn. Daniel Berger, a guy I kind of like. He's kind of turned his game around this year. Give me Mitch in this range here. We're looking at the 7K guys, and again, these guys are going to be super important. And can we differentiate ourselves at all? Is there anyone here that we could get that maybe the market's overlooking, and just outright without even thinking about the market, who do you really like here?
Well, I'm always going to go back to my guy, Harry Hall. He's always under-projected, under-owned. He just keeps finishing inside the top 20 about every single week. I thought he was going to kind of struggle to make the cut last week, and then he has kind of goes on a charge there, finishes T15 again. Just such a good short game with him. The ball striking is kind of up and down for him a little bit, but he's got such a good short game that he can save himself from a lot of different areas. So I'll keep playing Harry Hall, 7.9K. And then down a little lower, I like Denny quite a bit this week, 7,400. He finished 9th place here last year, had a T20 a couple years ago here as well, off the T11. He's kind of been up and down this year. He was T12 at the Travelers, T11 at John Deere, and then missed both cuts overseas, which links golf, different type of golf. You can give him a pass there because he battled right back at the Wyndham and finished T11. Should be a good course fit for him. He's going to make a lot of putts. He's going to hit a lot of fairways. It's kind of a short knocker, greens and fairways for Denny with a good short game, so I like him. And then I'm going to go back to my guy, Jake Knapp, 7,500. It was kind of interesting last week. I wish I would have known what happened, but apparently his kind of crazy psycho girlfriend, who's pretty outspoken on Twitter and social media, locked her accounts on Wednesday night, I guess. So I think she might have been going through something. He comes out and just plays one of the worst rounds of golf I've seen him play in a long time. That par 3, he took 5 shots from 20 yards away, kind of had a meltdown there. Charges back on Friday, has a chance on 18 to make the cut, needing eagle, and he hit a really good shot, just fell a little short, ends up finding the water. But I'm going to go back to Knapp here. He's got such a good birdie upside compared to the rest of these guys in this field. He's just been on a tear. He was T3, T22, T21, T4. He's making roughly around 20 birdies in those events, so he's going to make a lot of birdies here. He's a good scorer for a no-cut event, so I'm going to be overweight on Jake Knapp at 7,500. I think Maverick McNeely is a strong play. Wyndham Clark is a really strong play as well. He's starting to surge right at the right time, and then you look at where Wyndham Clark is sitting on the FedEx Cup points. He's 49th, so he's right there on the bubble of missing next week. So Wyndham needs a big week this week. The game's trending in the right direction, so I think Wyndham is a really strong play this week. He was T7 here last year, so 7,600 for Wyndham. He could be he could see some ownership, I think, but I think he's a strong play. And I think Bobby Mack at 7,700, he's got the upside to finish T15 here pretty easy, I think, as we've seen what he's done over the last couple of months. He was second at the U.S. Open, T17 Travelers, T7 at the British Open. So I think Bobby Mack, old mustard shirt, has a chance to do some stuff down here at 7,700.
Bryce, talk to me here. 7K range. A few guys that we didn't mention that I don't think will get a lot of ownership. When I'm looking at some of the betting markets here, it looks like at Pinnacle, which one of the sharper books, You got Jason Day, Pendrith, and Ricky Fowler. Like, looks like they're way out of where their price should be. Like, their betting odds are similar to the guys who should be in the 6K range. So I have a feeling you don't particularly like any of those three.
No, I don't. Can you list them again real quick? I was going over my notes
Fowler.
here.
Yeah, Fowler,
Yeah,
Day,
don't love
and
Fowler.
Pendrith.
Day, I would be okay with Day in a tournament setting. These guys are just cheap, and they do have some birdie upside. So getting down here, it's a little less on the betting markets and a little more on who has upside and who doesn't in terms of golfers. But I'll just start at the top here. Harry Hall. I'm going to go through every golfer real quick and just basically say whether I like him or not. Harry Hall, don't love. He's playable. All of these guys are in my pool, because when I'm locking a guy, once again, I don't want to limit the amount of pads that I have to the top here. Daniel Berger, I do like. Spawn, I like. McIntyre, I like a lot. Wyndham Clark, I think is the best 7K play. I love him. Jordan Spieth, I like to an extent. I'm seeing a lot of ownership on him. If he comes in super high owned, I'm going to be like, what, 14%? If he comes in over that, I'll be under. Mav, I think is still fighting. I kind of like him. Knapp, don't mind Snyder's take on him. I'm fine being over on Knapp. Denny, I think he always has upside putting. Lowry, name brand might get him squeezed up a little higher than the rest of these guys, so I likely won't be over on him. Probably about the field there. Harmon, probably field. Day field. Kirk, don't really like him. If I was Xing out guys, I'd probably X out Kirk, Pendrith, Day, and Fowler. Kitayama, I really do like. JT Poston, I think is a solid play. I think Akshay is one of my favorite high upside plays here. I love playing him in no cut settings where you need to rack up birdies. I know Brian asked that question in chat. So yeah, I really do like Akshay. Glover, I like a good amount here.
Past winner, Glover? Did he win this event?
I'm not sure. Has he won here, Snyder?
I think so. Yeah.
He's had such a long career. I think so.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Glover. I like Glover quite a bit. He won here in 2023, didn't qualify for this last year, but was T3 then in 2022. So he's got really good course history for here.
Yeah, I like Glover a lot. I think there's a pretty big drop-off from like the Glovers and Batias of the world down. So I'm trying to play as much Scotty as possible. Obviously, I'm locking him and not like fully dip into the 6K range. There are guys down here to play, but I just don't really want to go crazy on any of them.
This 7K range, Mitch, who comes in the highest here? Give me the top two guys as far as ownership goes.
On the 7K range, let me see.
I was thinking Mattia.
I think Kitayama. I didn't mention him either. I like Kitayama quite a bit. I think he's going to come in pretty high. And then I think it's going to be pretty spread out.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Saber's got Spieth as the highest in here, but I don't know if that's the way it's going to.
Yeah,
I think I would take Wyndham's ownership over Spieth personally.
Yeah.
I think Wyndham will be higher. I don't think Wyndham will be like crazy shocky, but Spieth isn't going to come in that high.
I think the majority of this range is all going to be 5 to 13% or something like that.
Yeah, it should be. Everyone's going to be. Most of them will be fairly close.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot spread out. Before we get down there, talk about lineup construction, Bryce. When you were talking about with Scotty, it was a while ago. Having so much of Scotty, you don't really necessarily want to X out too many players. Is that something that you typically do? If you're going to go heavy on one guy, you want to kind of add all these other golfers in so that you don't miss out on a low-owned golfer?
Yeah, I just don't want to limit. Like, you're already limiting yourself by locking him. You're limiting yourself to the roster construction. You're limiting yourself to the type of builds and type of players you can get. Like, I'm not getting any of the top 3. It basically starts at Fleetwood for me. And, it's hard to make a Scotty Fleetwood team. So, yeah, I think I X'd out the bottom 10 here. I don't want to play these absolute dregs in the 6Ks. And, we can use this as a segue to the 6Ks. Talking about on the show, I think I might X out Keegan here. I just don't really like Keegan at all. I think he's too expensive.
I get this a lot with the NASCAR show that we do Sunday mornings with Rubio. It's similar. Now we've got a lot. Maybe you got 40 drivers as opposed to 70 here in this event. But if I lock in a driver, then I typically don't want to remove too many other drivers from the field. In this case, golfers from the field, for that reason, because I'm already getting tight on one side that I kind of want to loosen it up elsewhere. The whole point of, if you do go all in on Scotty, the whole point is obviously you want to try to maximize your opportunities with winning Scotty lineups. And it kind of ties into what Brian D asked in the chat. He was asking about, is this going to be split money at the top with Scotty? I mean, what do you think the probability is here with so many people on Scotty, and then maybe we're going to get so many on who was it there in Aaron Rye?
I think it'll be
so
unique.
many maybe on those two. Does that give us a high probability of kind of a chop pot here?
I mean, I would just get different on your Scotty Rye teams. That's where the sims really come into. It just helps you get different, because if it gives you Scotty and Rye, it's not going to give you it's not going to give you like 4 high-end golfers with them. Like, you should be able to get unique here. I don't think there's any issue at this field size getting unique with Scotty. I have 52 players in my pool. I don't really expect to have any uniques here. Maybe a couple. And I'm only leaving $300. I don't think it's like it's not like a 30-person field or like a super small field. Like, after this event, it's dupe city. So, get your DFS in, because then you're just kind of playing not to dupe. I really hate the next couple weeks after this. This is one of my favorite tournaments, though. So I don't think it'll be a dupe team that wins. If it does, probably not good for me, but we'll see.
If it does, it'll probably be Scotty for sure.
I would imagine. Yeah, the only way it's a dupe is going to be Scotty. I would have to think. I kind of like these events. We've done well in the past on these type of no cut events, especially with a field of this size, just because you've got more opportunity. We talked about it with a few of these other guys. You mentioned it with Scotty. Kind of in 2 days, it's much easier for a great golfer to get cut. When over 4 days, like, even if maybe a Scotty doesn't play particularly well on Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday, he could just tear the entire place apart and finish with a top 5, right? It's kind of what we alluded to with Matsuyama, almost missing the cut and then having a really good finish last week. So yeah, I think these type of tournaments kind of lend themselves well to. It's a little easier to handicap, in my opinion, because we got a little less volatility on that Thursday and Friday with maybe some of the better golfers not making the cut. All right, we're going to go sub 7K. And, there are still some guys down here, sub 7K. I think it was Brian as well mentioned in the chat. These guys are all playing well. That's how they got here. You had to be top 70 just to get into this field. So who do we like down here? I'm looking at the betting markets. The guy who kind of stands out to me is Siwoo Kim. I think, Bryce, you kind of alluded to liking him earlier. He's your guy down here. So I'll let you start it off with the sub 7K range. Talk to me about Siwoo Kim and any of these other guys that you think we need to get in our player pools.
I mean, Siwoo obviously has a ton of upside too. I love playing him for DraftKings scoring. So, he is prone to a blow up here and there, but that's why he's 6,800. I think he's the best play in the 6Ks by a decent amount. Other guys I like here, Nick Taylor. I'm gonna be playing some 6,900. Like him here, a decent amount. Other guys, Kevin Yu, 6,600. I think is a pretty strong play. I think he carries a ton of upside with him as well. Who else did I like? I liked Etch a decent amount here. I think he was a pretty strong play. Andrew Novak, another guy I don't really want to miss on here. I like Novak a good amount.
Yeah, I've been following Novak in the betting markets the last few weeks. It seems like the sharps have been backing him for a win. Obviously, it hasn't happened.
He's not playing as good of golf as he was, but he's shown the upside. Getting asked about Rose. I don't really like Rose this week. Grazerman, I can definitely be talked into at 6,900. Sam Stevens, I think is a decent play at 67. Gerard, 67. I think it just really kind of falls off a cliff after Potgieter. Like, I really don't want to play like these 6K, 6.1K, and 6.2K guys. So that's kind of where I cut my field off this week.
I think. What about Jacob Bridgman? Did you mention Bridgman there?
Yeah, Bridgman I didn't mention. I have. I'm still tinkering around with my file, but I think I have 6% Bridgman in my file right now.
Yeah, I mean on DraftKings
he's over.
Yeah, DraftKings he's plus 12K, which is far better than a lot of the golfers around him in this price range. Kind of not crazy, but he's up with the other guys in the kind of the mid sixes, a little bit higher than he is. So potentially a play there. All right, Mitch, what do you like? What do we need to play, if anyone, down here sub 7K? And obviously there's going to be a lot that we'll avoid, so we'll kind of limit it to the guys that you like.
Yeah, I think there's a few guys down here with some pretty great upside for their pricing, and you're going to need at least one of these 6K guys in the optimal with Scotty. Is what I'm kind of thinking. I like Nick Taylor to the best down here. He's been playing some elite golf this year, super consistent. Outside of the miscut at the Open Championship, he was top 25 in his 5 events before that. Has a top 25 at this event in 23. So I think he's pretty strong here. I don't mind Rose. He's been T22, T20 the last 2 trips here. Has kind of just only played well at the bigger events this year. Was T16 and T6 in the 2 events overseas. Played well at the Masters. Played well in a couple of those other elevated events this year. So I think he's fine at 6,900. Siwoo is definitely a guy I like to play on DraftKings just for the upside. I always like to play about 10% of him or so, but he's just been abysmal with the putter, losing strokes putting in the last 8 events. So that's a knock on Siwoo there. Kind of relative, similar to Ryan Gerard. It's crazy. The only event we don't have strokes gain data for Gerard is the one he won. Every other event since May, he's lost at least 1 stroke putting. So he's been really bad on the greens. Last week, he missed the cut at the Wyndham. He lost 3 strokes putting. Like, it's kind of rinse and repeat for him. He's losing over a stroke per 36. So elite ball striker, just cannot putt. But 4 rounds here for Gerard. He can make some birdies. If he can somehow get the putter going, he could definitely wind up in like the top 20 or something. I think he's a strong upside play. I like the upside that Novak has. Grillo, really good birdie maker. Has been inside the top 35 the last 3 trips here as well. So I think Grillo's got some upside. Has a couple of good events there as well. He was T20 at the 3M and then finished runner-up at the John Deere Classic. So he's got the birdie upside. He's going to hit a lot of fairways and greens. He's hitting about 70% of his fairways and 73% of the greens regulation in the last 36 rounds. So I think Grillo is strong. He's gaining strokes across the board too, the last 36. So Grillo might be one of my favorites down here in the 6K range, aside from Nick Taylor. And then I really don't want to force any of these other guys down here. The one guy I would play as a punt would be Matty Schmidt. He's basically, I think he's got to finish 4th or 5th to make it to next week. So he's going to be flag hunting, I think, all week. So I think there's some upside playing some Matty Schmidt at 6,200. He's an upside birdie guy the way it is. He bombs it off the tee. So I think he's interesting at 6.2 at least.
I like Rose. Brian was asking about Rose. I like Rose a little bit. I mean, it's a no-cut event. He's been basically like cut or has done fairly well, and especially in
Yeah.
some of these tougher events. His last two with the Genesis finished sixth and T16 at the Open. So another guy who I kind of, if I'm getting in like U.S. Open mind, even though he was cut this year at the Open. A guy on tough golf courses who I think potentially could play well. I mean, what are we looking at in the sub 7K? I mean, if we get someone, I mean, a top 20 should be good enough for us, no? And with some of these guys down here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you can get one of these sub 7K guys inside the top 20, you should be sitting really well, I think.
Yeah, and you'll see wide variations of scores. Like, if guys are getting streaks, eagles, etc. Like, I mean, even if they finish 30th, if they DraftKings score really well, like they can easily be optimal. Yeah, like you get a streak eagle, that's worth what, 10 finishing positions at least.
Yeah, but it should be a pretty. It's fun. I like the FedEx Cup, so we'll see. We're just kind of getting our feet wet with it this week, and it's going to get better each and every week. So we want to let's do some GK pick six. How do you guys want to do? You want to do two apiece, or
two apiece is the normal structure for this.
Yeah.
So that's good, man.
All right, I am going to start. Have you guys? Because I do have some written out. So if you are ready, Mitch, do you have yours ready to go?
I'm going to use one of them that I used for the DraftKings Discord that we do each week. I've got, who did I have in that? Hideki Matsuyama better than 26.5.
And that's finished position.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all finishing position this week.
Yeah, all positions this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no other. Yep. And when you said in the Discord, where do you have that going on in the DK Pick Six Discord or in the golf?
I'll put it in our Discord as well at Run Pure Sports. But we're also running a couple times a week. We're running Pick Sixes on DraftKings' Discord. In their Pick Six Discord on DraftKings, Wiley submits it to the DK guys, and they put it on their Discord over there as well. Use that promo code JBC 100K win for free month for RPS as well. dkng.co/RPS for the DraftKings promo as well.
Awesome. All right, so we're taking Matsuyama. Which way were we going on that one?
Better than 26.5.
Better than 26.5. Bryce, give me one.
I'm going to take Scotty better than 3.5.
Wow.
I think he nuts it in here.
Mark's not here to take the worst.
Well, I don't think he would take worse this week.
No, probably not. No,
I don't think he would take worse. Yeah, Mark and I think alike.
Yeah.
So you're going to hate.
He would take worse in a good field. I just don't think this is that great of a field compared to what we normally get Scotty as a plus 300 at.
I'm going to go with a worse. And I'm going to go with Justin Thomas, 19.5. Worse.
I like that.
Do we like that one? I know Mitch, I think Bryce is kind of nodding along there. I just don't like JT at all here.
I agree. I like that worse a lot. And I will go with one as well for my next one. Keegan, 29.5 worse.
I was looking at that.
I like that.
I'm going to ride the Cam Young deal. We're going to go Cam Young better than 30.5.
Okay, Cam Young better than 30.5. Keegan worse than 29.
Yep.
Scheffler better.
JT
worse. And sorry, what were the other ones we had? Hideki better. That's 5. I think we're missing one of
I got
yours.
the last. I got the last one.
Stats has got the last one.
Yeah, I got the last one. All right, I'm not going to change with what I had. I'm going to go. I don't know if you guys are going to like this one at all, but I'm going to go with Corey Connors worse, 26.5.
Okay,
that's a good line. I
don't hate it.
Yeah. All right. So how much do we win on this?
Let's see how much. Picks have been submitted. $100 to win 2K minimum.
Love it.
Minimum payment. I have it in. We will post the screenshot on Twitter for all of you after this. It was Cam Young better than 30.5, Scotty better than 3.5, Hideki better than 26.5, Keegan worse than 29.5, JT worse than 19.5, Connors worse than 26.5.
All right. I think it's pretty much a lock, so we should be good there. All right.
We've got a question here about the showdown. We'll have the showdown up on the our Run Pure Sports site for all rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll have core plays and a playbook up for that as well if you are looking for some showdown stuff. Last week, the showdown kind of saved everything. Had a really good showdown week. We had a bunch of members in Discord with a bunch of screenshots there. Somebody took down one of the GPPs last week for round 2, I believe. So we'll be firing showdown all week, as well as the NFL preseason 3-game slate tomorrow as well.
Man, NFL, I can't believe it's here, but it is, and here we are. So I actually just saw the pricing. We've got some new pricing for the NFL, and I think you're also going to be getting like the entire, if you buy the NFL package, you're going to be getting the preseason for free, essentially. So be on the lookout for that. I think it's going to drop probably tomorrow. We'll have the new pricing for the NFL packages. So, and again, as you guys said, you could use that JBC 100K win is going to get you a free week on any monthly package, and RPS 15 gets you 15% off on any package. You can use either one of those. And I strongly urge you guys to get into the Discord. While we have a lot of good content on the website, the Discord's really where you get to ask questions of guys like Mitch and Bryce and all the pros that we have over
Mark's
at Run Pure.
What, 100,000 messages or something?
Exactly.
Yeah, Mark's message volume is almost as big as his win volume at this point. It's pretty absurd. Yeah. I think the Discord is easily one of our biggest value adds. A lot of other companies will, do like office hour type of deals or not be very active. I mean, we're in there all day, and we're answering DMs. It's not only like just Discord talk, but
people like to DM me with questions at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm happy to answer them, but just be aware that I'm usually under the influence of something at that point.
Yes.
So take it with a grain of salt.
We got you at your rare time on a Wednesday evening at 10 p.m.
I have not touched anything to alter my mind right now because I knew I had to do the show tonight, but I am anxious to go hit the bottle right now. So anyway, boys, this was it was awesome. I love doing it with you guys. I love golf, and you guys are about as good as it gets. So again, guys, do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe. It's real easy, and it's the least you guys the least that you have to do to really just help us out. And if you enjoy the show, it really it does help quite a bit. So for Bryce, for Mitch, I am Stats, and we will see you next week. Good luck, everybody.